Hello all, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be performing some basic tasks like creating a folder, creating files, writing to file and reading from files using Python. For demonstration, I have already created a folder called as test under which we will be creating files and folders using Python. So let's start. The very first thing is that to create a folder, I have to import a module called as OS. So I will type import OS, and then what I will do is that I will use os.mkdirs to create a folder. So let's see over here. So I'm trying to create a folder, and the syntax will be os.makeDirs and then the folder name that I'm trying to create. So that will be C colon backslash test backslash sample. Right. So once I execute this particular script, then it is going to create a folder called as sample inside test and in my C drive. So let's see. Right now there is nothing inside my C test. So once I execute this particular script, let's see what happens. So once I have executed this script, if you see now, I have already created a folder called as sample. So now what I'm going to do is that, let me comment this out. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change my current working directory to C test sample, because right now I am in this particular working directory, that is C users, Slackrap, PyCharm projects, my project, virtual environment and script. So now I want to change it to C test sample. To do that, what I will do is I will call os dot chdr, and then I will just copy paste the path over here, and this will change my current working directory to C test sample. So to verify that, what I will do is I will print. Okay, let me first print my current working directory, that is print os dash get cwd, that is current working directory. And now what I will do is that now I have changed it to C test sample, and then what I will do is that I will print again my new working directory. So what I will do is os dot get cwd, and let me execute that. So if you see over here, previously my working directory was this, and now I have changed it to C test and then the sample folder inside which, and this sample folder is what we have created over here. So now I will try to create a file inside this sample folder, and we'll try to write something inside that file. So let me change this. Let me remove this one. Now what I will do is that let me remove this one as well. So now what I will do is that I will create a file with open command, with open, using with open, and then I will create the file by name sample1.txt, and the mode that I want to open it is appendable, so that I can write to it, and the object handle that I want to create is as write file, w file, for write into the file. Right, so this has so now I'm creating a file called sample1.txt inside this sample folder, right? And I'm trying to write something inside that. So what am I going to write inside that? Okay, let's say I'm taking a variable I equals 0 over here, and I'm putting it inside a while loop. While I is less than equal to 3, what I am trying trying to do, what I will do is that I will write something inside that file, for which I will use w file dot write, and then what am I going to write? Okay, let's say welcome, and it is going to write welcome four times, because the count will start from 0 to 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3, that is 4 times. It will write welcome. So what I will do is that, let me name this welcome as well, so that it's easier to understand. \n, new file every time. Okay, and then I will increment my I. So now what this is going to do is that, what this block is going to do is that, it is going to create a file called as sample.txt inside C test sample, and I'm opening it in an appendable mode so that I can write to it one after the another. Okay, so that I can append to that file. And I'm creating this handle over here, w file, and now I'm writing welcome. So what it will do is that what I'm trying to achieve is that it should write welcome 0, 1, 2, 3. That way it should write inside that particular file. So right now, if I see over here, my C test sample is empty. Now if I execute this script, let's see what happens. So it has executed, so code 0. So my assumption is that it should create a file. So let's see whether the file has been created. Yep, the file has been created over here. Let me open this file, and if you see inside this file, we have welcome 0, 1, 2, and 3 written into it. So these are some data that we have put, right? So what we can do is that, if you want, you can go more. Like, you can write some kind of data that you want, not only welcome 1, 2, 3 like that. You can write your own data over here, right? So now what I'm going to do is that, next I'm going to do is, I will try and create a directory, and I will take the input from the user. So for that, what I will do is that I will use a variable called as new dir, and then let me take the input uh, create a new directory, right? So this is what I'm going to do, and what I will do is that I will take the input from the I'm going to take the input from the user, and I will try to create that file. So where this sorry, I will create this folder. So where is this folder going to be created? This folder will be created under C test sample, because this is where my current working directory is. So what I will do is that I will use os dot make dirs, and the input will be new underscore dir. So this is the input that I'm taking from the user, and I'm creating this new directory inside this inside my current working directory. So so now if I execute this script, what will happen is that, if you see over here, it's asking me for my new directory name. So what I will put over here is sample1, and I will hit on enter, right? So let's see whether the directory is created or not. So if you see over here, the new directory has been created, sample1, right? So let me hash it out, check that. Yeah, comment it out. Fine. Now what I'm going to do is that, now I have created the file. Now I want to read something back from that particular file. So what I'm going to do is that I will use the same with command. With I will try to open the file with open, My file name is sample1.txt. Sorry, missed the quotes. It's sample1.txt, comma. Let me get rid of this. Okay. And what I'm going to do open is that I'm going to open it using the read-only mode, and the file handle that I'm going to create is a read file, right? So now, as we know, there are multiple options to read the file. What I want to say is that you can read the file using read function or read line function or using read lines function, right? So let's see what it is going to do. So now over here, what I will be doing is that the first of all I will use the read function to see what it does. All right. So what I will do is that it will be r file, so, sorry, print r file dot read, right? So I'm reading this particular file directly. The benefit of using with is that once I open the file and once my actions are completed, this will automatically close the file. We don't have to explicitly mention that we have to close the file. So that is the benefit of using it, right? There is a syntax error, so I have to put the closing syntax over here. Right now it looks good. So now what I'm doing is that I'm reading this entire file. So let's execute this command and see what happens, right? So I'm reading this particular file that is there using read command. So the return type is, let's say I want to find out type what type it is returning. So I would just use type and rerun the command again, and you see it is a string that I am getting back. All right. So this is one way of reading the files. Now what I will do is that I will use the same thing. Let me use the same thing over here. I'll copy paste. And instead, okay, let me copy it down over here. And instead of doing read, what I will do is that I will use read lines to see what happens, right? So this is what I am using. So now let me execute it. And now if you see over here, this is also reading the particular file, but what it does is that it reads the file into a list. So let's verify whether it is doing that or not. So what I will do is I will put type, and okay, let me close it over here. Fine. So if you see over here, so the return type is a list when I'm using read lines. Now what I'm going to do is that, let me comment this out, and I will use the same thing. I'll use the same thing. Let me uncomment these options over here. Right now we have seen read, which reads the entire file, and the return type is a string. Read lines also does the same thing. It reads the entire file and the return type is a list. Now there is one more option, one more function to read it, that is called read line. So let's see what it does. So I'm doing a read line, and let me now execute it. And if you see over here, it reads the very first entry of the file. So it reads one line at a time, right? So now the question is, if it reads one line at a time, then how should we go ahead and read the entire file? For that, what we will do is that, let me copy it again, comment it, and then I will put it over here. Right now, what I am going to do is that I will create a global counter. Uh, not Counter will not be required. What I will do is that I will open the file as R file, and then I will loop through it using the while loop. While true, line equals R file dot read line. Or what I can do is that, what I can put over here is that my underscore line is equal to R file dot read line. Right now, the next thing is that if it is a blank line, if there is nothing, means if there is no data into it, if it is a blank line, then it should come out of it, right? So what I will put it into a conditional. I will put a condition over here. If my underscore line, sorry, if not, my mistake, if not my underscore line, then I will break this loop. uh, break I'm going to break this loop, right? And what I will do is that I will print my underscore line. So now what I'm doing is that I'm looping through this particular file. I'm reading that line, putting it into a variable over here, and I'm doing a condition check that if there is no more entries, that means if there is blank lines or there is no more entries, then I break out of this loop and I will print out everything over here, right? So let's see what happens. So if you see over here, I'm able to see all the data that is there inside my particular file, but there is some white spaces. To get rid of it, what I will do is that I will strip this spaces, these white spaces. Now, if I execute it, if you see over here, I'm able to read this data, right? So this is the same that we see over here. Now, to read that particular file, there is one more method using the for loop. So what I will do is that I will copy this and I will comment out everything. And now I will open this file again. Okay. And instead of while loop, right now what I will do is that I will use a for loop for my underscore line in our file print my underscore line dot strip, right? Because I'm trying to get rid of the new line characters, right? So I'm just trying to clear off the new lines over here. So I'm stripping any space before or after the particular text, right? So now let's see what happens. If I execute this, then also I get the same results. Now let's say I want to count how many lines are there inside. I also want to count how many lines are there inside my particular file. So what I will do is that I will loop it through, and I will create a global counter that will hold the value of the number of lines that I am parsing through. So what I will do is that I will put counter. Let's say I'm creating a variable counter underscore equals 0, right? And every time I go through this for loop, I will increment my counter plus equal 1, right? And then I will print what is that print? Okay, number of lines in the file is counter underscore, right? So now if I execute it, if you see the number of lines inside this file is 4. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that way we can count the number of lines that we have inside a particular file as well. But this is very good when we are writing files which are of smaller capacity, and the size of the file is not that much, because as we know that whenever we open this file gets, the entire file gets read into the memory, and from there we do all this with all these calculations or reading and writing. But if the file is too large, then you might be using your memory more. So to avoid that or to work around that, what you can do is that you can use one more module called as file input. Import file input, right? And to use that, what you can do is that for my underscore line in file input dot input, and the input file name sample dot txt, right? uh, Sample dot txt, and then what I will do is that print line dot strip. Sorry, that is my line, my underscore line dot strip. So this will also do the same thing. It will read the entire file, but it will not keep those information in the memory. It will just release the memory. So it should give us the same output that we have. Now what I will do is that once I have done this, then I will close this file input using file input dot close, and then I will move out from the system itself. So for this sys dot exit, so I'm just running out of this code as well. I will import the sys module over here as well. Right. So let's see what happens now. Okay, so it says we don't have a file name sample.txt. That's right, because it is sample1.txt. So let me run it now, and if you see over here, it does the same thing. So if you're trying to work with a large number of files, then I think file input will be the best way. If we are using a limited number of entries in a file, I think we can go for any one of these functions that are there to read, whether you can go for read line or read lines. right? So this was a small video regarding how to work with files in using Python. I hope this small video helps you understand how to do some basic work with files and folders. So, right? So do let me know your views about it, and we will meet next time. Thank you. All have a great day. Bye bye.